Well, it is my honor and privilege to have a wrestling legend all the way from the good old USMA. It is former NWA World Heavyweight Champion after beating the late great Harley Race as well all them years ago. It's Tommy Wildfire Rich on episode 168 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast. How's it going, Tommy?
Hey, it's going great, Stu, man. I appreciate you having me on your podcast too, man. All over the UK, man. You big name.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Honestly, just you guys, man. And obviously, your career in the territories, it predated me because I was born in 86, but it's been fantastic. Yeah. It's been fantastic for me as a fan going back and watching you guys because I only know WWE from like 1990 when I started watching it. You know, it was international WCW, which was still NWA, but yeah, just you getting your start, you know, I know Tojo Yamamoto and Jerry Jarrett were heavily involved in that. You getting your start, man, in pro wrestling.
Yeah, it was, you know, I just very blessed, man. I started Tojo Jerry Jarrett, broke me in, and I started there in Tennessee and then went on to Georgia. And then, of course, Ted Turner, he had cable before cable was cool, man. I mean, he, you know, went everywhere. Everybody knew who Tommy Wildfire Rich was. I mean, it was good.
Did you have any dealings with Ted Turner? Did you meet him personally?
Who?
Ted Turner.
Ted, yes, sir. I met him a couple of times. I just in passing. I mean, we didn't go out and have no drinks together, but I met him a couple of times. Very nice gentleman.
How was it on the road in them days, Tommy? I've heard so many stories. You know, were you okay with the road, the rigors of the road? You know, it was your schedules were so heavy back then, man. You know, you guys away from your families. You know, how was it for you being on the road so much? Did you enjoy it going to different places?
Yeah, oh yeah, and back then, you know, it was territory. So I was pretty fortunate. You know, I wrestled. Started in Tennessee, then went to Georgia. And of course, there in Georgia, the trips, you was home every night, where is in Charlotte or Louisiana, shoot, they'd be on the road for 4 or 5 days before they would get home. So I was pretty lucky, you know. And then, of course, when we started going up north and stuff, we started being away from home a lot more. And that was harder, you know, but business was business, you know.
Who was some of your favorites getting in there with, Tommy? I've got to ask you. I know you've had thousands of matches, but yeah, off the top of your head, man, just guys, you know, who you just absolutely adored being in the ring with, you know, in the past, obviously people that have passed away now.
Yeah. Shoot, I mean, I got to wrestle the best of the best, you know. I mean, I could, you know, the original Sheik. I went up there one time. You talk about scared. I went up there and heard all the stories about him, and I had to wrestle him, you know, and it's a bloodbath. And I was, you know, just you hear different stories. And I went up there, and then, of course, people was lined up outside the building trying to get in, and the building was full. We went out. We had a heck of a match. Of course, we both was bleeding, and but got to the back. He was a real gentleman. And later, when I went to ECW, Sabu, you know, that was his uncle, and Sabu come up to me and told me his uncle spoke good of me, and you know, so me and Sabu had a relationship. You know, I'm just very fortunate.
How was it? I know we're going right, you know, into like the 90s and that with ECW. How was that being an elder statesman? You know, one of the veterans at that point in your career. How was that for you? You're saying about your relationship with Sabu, but yeah, other guys with an ECW, and I'm working for Paul Heyman. I know you would have known Paul for years prior to that, though.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, and there again, going back, I mean, you know, of course, wrestling Harley Race. I mean, shoot, I got to wrestle Stan Hansen, the Andersons. You know, King Kong Mosca, the Baron. You know, I mean, I wrestled the characters of characters, you know. So it was, I mean, you know, to pick one out, Abdullah the Butcher, I mean, I wrestled him, body slammed him at the Omni one Thanksgiving night, and that building went crazy, you know, because I was a little fella, and back then Abby was weighing about 400 pounds probably. So, you know, just the road to get, you know, to get there, and just for the guys, you know, they could have just said, I'll just eat this kid's lunch, and they didn't. They took, they seen money there. It's, you know, just very fortunate to work superstar Bill Eady, another great person. You know, I mean, I could just sit here. I keep thinking, you know, Buzz Sawyer, of course, had classic matches with him, and then got the opportunity to go to ECW, and it was great up there. They asked me would I mind managing, and of course, them Northerners, they didn't like no Southern boys too much anyway, especially saying they was the big time. So that got a lot of heat. And of course, little Guido and Tracy, what a heck of a team they was.
Absolutely.
We were a great combination. And you talking about some tough fuckers now. The ECW boys, I mean, they'd stand there. And I remember Miles Mahoney, if you didn't bust a chair, bend it over his head, he was mad about it. You know, them were a different type cats, you know. They was full into it. So the Dudleys up there, man, I mean, they had a lot of Rob Van Dam, Sabu. I mean, I got to wrestle or team up with the best of the best in this business.
So cool, man. So cool. How about, I've got to ask, how is New Jack? How is New Jack? Your dealings with him? What a guy, man. And again, taken too soon. Taken too soon. What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was, you know, he was a character, you know. I mean, he did, you know, he did things the way he wanted to, and they wasn't necessarily right all the time. But I mean, I always got along with New Jack, never had no problem with him, but I think other folks might have, you know. So, but up there in ECW, he was over.
Absolutely. Oh, just amazing. Just amazing, like what you've managed to do now. Obviously, going back, winning the title from Harley Race, and how was that pitched to you? And obviously Harley saw it in you. You know, you had the look, you had the style, you were great on the mic. But yeah, how was it? How did it come about? How was it formulated that you were going to beat him for you know, one of the most prestigious titles in the world of wrestling?
More or less, Toe, when I got in the ring.
It was as simple as that. As simple as that, Tommy.
I mean, they mentioned it to me in the back, but you know, you kind of think, well, they just joshing me, and then the spot come up, and there it was, 1, 2, 3, and right there in Augusta, Georgia, the Bell Auditorium, man, and that building went crazy. Of course, Andre the Giant was there that night. He come down and lifted me up, and that was big to me because Andre, he was a great person too. That when he'd come to Georgia, you know, he'd ride with me. So I loved Andre real good too.
I was going to ask you as well, like you tagged, you were tag champion in various promotions as well. I know you were with Tony Atlas years ago. You know, how did it differ for you, the tag wrestling to the singles wrestling, you know, during your career?
Well, that kind of saved me a lot. You know, kept me good in Georgia because I'd wrestle for the Georgia heavyweight title for a minute. You know, have a run with that, and then they like, of course, now. My first night in Atlanta, Georgia, Jerry Jarrett told me, he said, if you get there and you don't like it, he said, just call me and I'll get you out of it. Well, the first night I was there, I wrestled Abdullah the Butcher, beat me in 30 seconds, busted my head. Tony Atlas saved me. And I'm thinking, Lord, maybe I better call Jerry Jarrett and tell him I need to come home, you know, because we used to go to Chattanooga TV and you'd see Atlanta and you'd say, that's the big time right there. And then my first night getting beat in 30 seconds, getting saved. And then, but I just kept on. And then they put me and Tony together. The first tag team champions, salt and pepper tag team champions they ever had. So that was cool. And of course, me and Tony, you know, we teamed up, and I mean, we did real good together. Of course, Ricky Martel, I teamed up with him. I had some great tag team partners. Of course, Wahoo McDaniels. Teamed up with Stan Hansen after he turned to the good side, you know. So I just some guys have, you know, I don't know. I have no regrets. You know, it's all been good for me, and very blessed to be sitting here talking to you 50 years later, and people know who I am. You know?
I love it. I love it, honestly, because I've seen so many of your matches, man, honestly, and charisma in spades, which I think that's what's missing in modern wrestling. I've got to be honest. And I know gimmicks have been done, stuff's been rehashed. I think it's harder and harder for talent now, but I think psychology is missing. That's fan perspective. I've never been in the ring, and that's not me slating that's not me slating the wrestlers of today. I appreciate what those guys do.
Oh yeah, I couldn't do what they do today. I couldn't, I couldn't do. Uh, I get much over that second rope, my nose starts bleeding. You know, I mean, they coming off the top of the things and everything else. I mean, so it's different. I mean, but back then, Bullet Bob Armstrong said it the best. We were vaudeville, Shakespeare. We ad lib. I mean, and you told a story to the people. I mean, it was your story and you told it. And I think that's what we're missing is the stories today. I mean, but it moves so fast now. I mean, used to you get pile drive and you went to the hospital. Now then, somebody gets pile drive and gets up and pile drives the other guy. So it just you'd have to do so much more now than back then. I mean, but people believe too. I mean, it's different. Like we used to, kayfabe our business, kind of like a magic show. You'll go to that magic show a million times till you find out how they do the trick. So our business back then, till Vince come out and said it was sports entertainment, that's how we sheltered it and that's the way we lived it. I mean, somebody say somebody being fake and it damn near piss you off, but you had to be an athlete to do it anyway. You've got to be an athlete.
Have you still got the wrestling school, by the way? I wanted to ask you about that. Are you still training guys?
No, we did. I'm still in Myrtle Beach, though. I fell in love with Myrtle Beach. We're still here. It just was a bad. It's a tourist town, so it's seasonal. So it was, we did good for about a year, and then we just shut it down.
But still, I know you helped a lot of guys in that time as well. I think,
yeah. And it's good. I love going to these independent shows, and what's a shame used to. Like when we was talking about the territories, I mean, you could be somebody that loved the business and maybe not make it to the top, but you could work 5 to 7 days a week and you could still make a living, and you'd finish this territory. And if you did good, you'd go to, say, Florida, the next territory, and they'd say, hey, this kid's doing good. Give them a little push, and it might not be there, but you might get better. And they send you to Kansas City for Bob Geigel, and then that's where you get your big push. Here it's unless you work for one of the big companies, it's hard. And I go to a lot of independent shows, and there's kids that do have the talent, that could make it that won't get the chance. They have to have a job to support their hobbies. So I've been very blessed that, it's made me a living, still does, so I'm very blessed with that. And that's the part I kind of hate for the kids today, because they don't, unless you're WWE or AEW, one of the NWA, one of the big companies, then you don't get, you don't get an opportunity.
Do you catch anything? Do you catch any WWE, AEW, or does it not? Do you not get time to?
Yeah, I watch it some. I mean, I enjoy it, but it's like I said, it's a different style. And them boys, some of the stuff they do, I mean, they take a chance every night of not being able not just be off for a few weeks, not to be able to wrestle again with some of the things they do. So, hats off to them guys, because they definitely daredevils, but like I said, I'm that ground and pound guy.
That's the way I like. That's how I like my wrestling.
Yes,
absolutely. And I mean, we've got a few guys that can do that now, but like the.
Oh yeah, I watch it like NWA, and you watch some of the shows, and there's still guys on there that do wrestle. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying they've taken it to a higher limit, and I just don't think I could do what they do today. And as far as like they script you out, script your promos. They tell you what they want you to say. It's hard for somebody up north to tell a cornbread boy how to say what I would say. Now, give me an idea of what you want, but let me say it my way, So I think I would have struggled with that too, I just, because used to, they'd say, you're wrestling so-and-so, you got a minute 30, go out there and give it. That'd be it, and you'd go out there and do your promo.
Have you got any good Gordon Soley stories? That's what I wanted to ask you. I know I'm flip-flopping from current to old school to that. I'd love to hear about Gordon Soley. How amazing was that man as a broadcaster? Just, one of a kind.
That sums it up right there. He was the best. I mean, and there's other ones knocking on the door already, but Gordon, just the way he talked. I mean, he'd say, use words sometimes. I think, what the hell does that even mean? You know, and but he knew what it meant, and I think that's what separated him. And of course, Gordon, he always spoke well to me. I used to give him rides. He'd ask me, say, "Can you give me a ride to the airport?" So I'd give him a ride after TV, and but Gordon always, yeah, he was never had nothing bad to say about me, and I never had nothing bad to say about him. He was one heck of a man, and got a great family too.
Absolutely. Heavily influenced Jim Ross, you know, and look how well
Yeah.
Jim Ross did, man, you know, and he's still here, isn't
Oh,
he? I shouldn't talk about him in the past tense. We still got Jim.
yeah. But I mean, guys like Lance Russell, I mean,
Mhm.
you know, and that Tennessee territory, that was a hell of a territory too. I mean, when I started, uh, it actually had three territories in it. You had the Knoxville end, you had Nick Goulas in the middle, and then Jerry Jarrett on the Memphis end. So, I mean, some guys you could work there. You know, you hit each territory, you could stay in Tennessee for a minute. You know, working for each territory. So it was good. I mean, one of the biggest things I guess I did there was the night I hid under the ring and come out with Austin Island, we shaved Jerry Lawler's head. You know, have you ever seen that?
I've got to be honest, no, but I will dig a clip out. I'm
You
sure I'll be able to
dig-
find it on YouTube.
Yeah, I was under the ring about 6, 7 hours.
What about what about the bathroom? All that time under the ring, man.
Well, I had an air mat, a little float that you used in the pool.
Yeah.
I had a 6-pack of beer. So I blew the float up when I got there. They carried me out. Wasn't a security or nobody there. They put me up under the ring. I blowed the float up. And the good thing was I just got back from Japan and I had that jet lag. So I'd drink a beer. I'd fall asleep, wake up. I'd pee in the can, go back to sleep, drink a beer and go back to sleep. Anyway, all of a sudden I heard this, and the Memphis ring was really loud. And I was sound asleep. And they had that first match, and the first big bump they took, I popped up. I didn't know where I was at, hit my head on the metal beams, hit my head, dang near busted it. And I'm thinking, where am I at? And then I realized, you know, I knew where I was at. But oh yeah, man, just classic stuff. And I was involved, you know, involved in a lot of good angles.
Amazing. That just wouldn't happen today, would it? You know,
Oh no,
it's just that was the good old days, man.
Would nobody be that silly to lay under there that long?
I know I've not got you much longer, but I'd like to ask you favorite town to wrestle in, obviously across the territories. What you know, if you had to pick a town where you loved being and wrestling, where would that have been?
God, it was. I'd have to say, well, when I first went to Atlanta, the Omni wasn't open, so every Friday night we'd wrestle at the Atlanta City Auditorium, and I don't remember how many. It probably held 8 to 12,000 people. I don't remember, but anyway, it would be jam packed every Friday night. And you talk about electrifying. I mean, it was good. And then of course, then they opened the Omni. Would be 3 weeks there at the City Auditorium. Then the big show would be at the Omni, and that Omni, you know, it was just a step up. I mean, and it, you know, so you just enjoy. And of course, Augusta, Georgia. And then when we went to West Virginia and up to Ohio and all up through there, you know, just people was great to me, especially when we went on the road like that, because we was like rock stars. I remember one time we wrestled at in Charleston, West Virginia, and we stayed at the Holiday Inn right next door. Well, I asked the lady, I said, because there wasn't never nobody in the bar. I said, if I fill your bar up tonight, do the boys get to drink for free? And she looked at me, kind of smiled. She said, yeah, you can. Well, I announced, I said, Buzz, after I kick your ass tonight, we're having a party at the Holiday Inn bar. Son, we got over there. We was like rock stars. People started chasing. It was me, Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy, Jimmy Garvin. They started chasing us. We ran to the room, come down to the bar. They had to call extra security. People was outside. That lady was mad, but she did it. She held her end of the bargain. She did let the boys drink free.
Bless her soul for allowing that and carrying it through for you. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Tommy, I know you're at the conventions, you get to see the fans, and I've got Herb Simmons coming on next week. and he's got a show in St. Louis. He's got Fan Fest in St. Louis, as we would call it here.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's happening in May, isn't it? So yeah, I bet you. I'm
not mistaken, it's May 18th.
Lovely. I bet you can't wait to see the fans.
Oh yeah, the fans, and what's good about the conventions you get to see, because like you said, a lot of us have passed away, so it's always good to go to the conventions where it's going to be the guys that you wrestled with, get to see them sit around and shoot shit a little bit, you know that's always cool. But still, like you said, the fans, and that's another thing. I mean, just for the fans, because ain't none of us. I ain't been on TV since ECW. That was 98 to 2000 or something, and that folks still remember who Tommy Wildfire Rich is. I've started a little wrestling promotion there in Kentucky, Wildfire Championship Wrestling. I'm gonna be up there this weekend. We're gonna be in Pikeville, Kentucky. So guys, I got a lot of things going on, keeping me busy. For an old man, I'm busy enough.
It's good that you're not slowing down, Tommy. You're keeping busy. I like it. And yeah, fantastic. Aside from wrestling, what are some of the things you like to do there in Myrtle Beach in your downtime?
Lay out in the sun, just, kick it back, have a good time. Family, they'll come down and visit. So we get them a little bit. Like right now, it's real quiet here because there ain't no tourists. This summer, it'll be so loud, So it's really cool. You get to tell you, it's nice to have the quiet time, but it's fun during the summer too. It's a party.
I'm in a coastal town here in North Wales. So we're just before the English border here in Wales, and it's similar sort of thing at the moment. It's quiet. I can draw parallels with Myrtle Beach in North Wales because we've got the beaches and stuff here. So I totally understand how it goes. But like you get to late spring into the summer, it's 100 miles an hour around here.
Oh yeah, same here too. Same here. And, of course, I can't do it every day like I used to, but I like to do it.
I'd have a beer with you, Tommy.
Oh, hey.
I definitely.
I have more than one, though. I can't never say. Anybody tell you you're going to have one beer, they lying to you right off the get. Because you're going to have 2 or 3.
My wife knows when I've had more than 2 as well. I start slurring. I get myself in trouble because I just start knocking them back. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, man. But yeah.
Okay, I can't drink that liquor, but I like to knock a couple beers down.
Yeah, go on, man. Absolutely. My guest, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, legend of pro wrestling, 50 years in the business. It's Tommy Wildfire Rich, who's been my guest today on Stu's Wrestling Podcast.
Stu, hey, man, thank you for having me. A great podcast, man. Folks, tune into it because he's a great one.
Thank you so much, Tommy.